She was dumbfounded, but he could not take back his words, so they all had to go. The next morning, Wang Mengmeng sent a text to invite the four of them to fill in the application form at Heavy Warframe Society. Fortunately, there were three beautiful girls, Wang Mengmeng, Wang Chun and Li Zhenzhen. Therefore they thought Heavy Warframe Society would not be so unbearable. But when they arrived at Heavy Warframe Society, they found out that it was even worse than they thought. In addition to Wang Mengmeng, Wang Chun and Li Zhenzhen, the Heavy Warframe Society had only two returning students, a fat guy and a skinny guy. There were barely any guys, let alone girls. The fat guy was the president of Heavy Warframe Society and the skinny guy was the only returning member. Hussein and his roommates failed to memorize their names because they girls only referred to them by their nickname, Fatty and Skinny. Fatty was smiling ear to ear when he saw Wang Mengmeng taking four new members to register, but his face collapsed when he found out they were from Department of Archery. Since there was a special enrollment program for archery students, the requirement of fitness index was lowered for them. Normally speaking, one would have to reach 11 in fitness index to be admitted, but archery students only needed to reach 10 as long as they passed their archery test. The difference of 1 point was a big gap, so archery students might be the weakest in the history of Black Hawk. The operation of heavy warframes required one to have great physique. So Fatty and Skinny were very disappointed when they learned that all four were from Department of Archery. Hussein and his roommates ignored that, filled in the forms and registered in the society. This is also good. Now we have less competition. Fatty and Skinny would not be able to beat us anyway. She was very contented, checking the three girls out. Brother Ha, we will first take you to see our training field. Wang Mengmeng was very happy to show Hussein around. Mengmeng, this is not right. Why do you call us by names, but call Sain brother? We are all freshmen and he is third oldest among us, only a dozen days older than Lu Meng, she said sullenly. Wang Mengmeng thought about it seriously, tilted her head and said, I think only Brother Ha looks like a brother to me. How come we don't? Shu was not convinced, squared his shoulder, made a pose like a bodybuilding model. It does not depend on age or body size. Wang Mengmeng did not care about Shi's muscles. She was speechless, but he had to accept the fact that she would only call Hussein brother. Li Zhenzhen and Wang Chun soon followed suit. When they came to the training field, the four guys were all shocked. They thought that Heavy Warframe Society had so few members that their training field must be small and shabby, and did not expect there to be any heavy warframes. Instead, they had expected to train on a holographic simulator. But their training field turned out to be a large warehouse, with huge space and three real heavy warframes, each over 10 meters tall and looking domineering. How about these? Mengmeng has negotiated for these, Wang Chun said proudly. Hussein suddenly realized why a society with few members could have such a training field. It was because of Wang Mengmeng. But it made Hussein very excited, as he had been studying Warframe operation, but the performance of the Warframe for practice was wanting and people had to take turns to use it. Although these are heavy Warframes, they were Warframes nonetheless. He did not have to wait to practice on a Warframe in the future. But heavy Warframes were different from normal ones in that they had stronger horsepower and bigger sizes. They were generally used for special purposes and were more difficult to operate. They could be very cumbersome as well. But this was not a problem for Hussein. The difficult operation worked. For him, if he could operate a heavy warframe well, an ordinary one would be easy. The three heavy warframes on the training field were Rhinoceros T, Porter RS, and Builder. Rhinoceros T1 was a quadruped heavy warframe used for transport. It had a strong load-bearing capacity, and its 4 feet allowed easy access to a variety of terrains. It was also strong in digging and drilling. Even when buried in a mine, it could get out on its own. Porter RS was also a quadruped heavy warframe, with an extra arm and strong horsepower. It was mainly used to organize a warehouse and carry goods. It came with a variety of loading and unloading tools, as well as welding and cutting tools. Builder was a bipedal heavy warframe used for construction, and it was close to an ordinary warframe. Builder, however, had 4 arms, and was much bigger and heavier than its peers. In addition, the warehouse was also equipped with 10 holographic virtual training machines. Each member could have one, and there were some left. Hussein suddenly felt that the decision to join the heavy warframe society was brilliant. It was like a paradise to him. Obviously, his roommates were not very interested in practicing on the heavy warframes. They preferred to use the holographic virtual training machine to operate advanced fighting warframes. Someone would use Rhinoceros T1 occasional, while Porter RS and Builder were never used. They were too hard to operate and would not be used for fighting. Generally speaking, those who driving heavy warframes were soldiers of lower ranks, while officers would hardly use these. That was why his roommates were not very interested. Hussein liked Porter RS and Builder a lot, and would practice on them when he had time. The gratification he got from operating heavy warframes was much greater than using a virtual training machine or warframe for practice. Room 304 happily joined the Heavy Warframe Society, while everyone else in the school was looking for Ji Yanran's boyfriend madly. Especially Chao Lianhua, who was pressured by Liu Jianghu to find him. However, no one knew who Ji Yanran's boyfriend was, not to mention where he was.